Hello, I'm Sean Hines from Austin Coworking Spaces. We're here with Laura Shook from Soma Vida. Laura, how are you doing today?
I'm doing really well, thank you.
Good, good. When I started Austin Coworking Spaces, it was really going to start as a directory, but I was actually inspired by Laura to do videos, so thanks for inspiring me to do that.
Definitely.
So why don't you give us a little bit about your background, Laura?
So before I became an entrepreneur, I spent like a decade in the nonprofit sector. So I come from the world of activism and academia, and I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist. So I pretty much was in the mental health world, helping mostly marginalized women and children in nonprofit settings and in Los Angeles, and I did research in Europe and Sweden and in Canada, and I was really fascinated with what is it that keeps people back from their potential, and sometimes it was really extreme things like poverty and familial violence and systemic violence, and sometimes it was just sort of lack of resources to even really privileged groups of people. So I don't know, my professional background was more like this kind of social psychology and activism before I became an entrepreneur.
Very diverse.
Yeah.
Very diverse.
Yeah.
So you felt like you could almost make a difference going into this space with that?
Yes. Yeah, that's a great, actually, question to tie in. So the reason I became an entrepreneur is because I felt like I could do something with the activism, bringing it into the world of capitalism and shifting that. There was that trend with conscious capitalism that was kind of starting to emerge, and I got really excited about that because working in the nonprofit sector, I felt limited sometimes by the lack of resources that we faced, and somehow the idea of how do we work more intentionally with capitalism and all these women that I knew that were launching businesses, I felt really compelled to understand what was psychologically holding them back, maybe what was physically and financially holding them back, and to just see if I could possibly create some type of business model that would give us more opportunities and more empowerment.
Yeah. Nice, nice. Well, I mean, I'm going to jump right into passion questions. So
definitely.
you're kind of already jumping right into passion. So when that struck you, how long did it take to kind of get this going, and maybe some of the roadblocks?
Yeah. So it's been almost a decade since I launched Soma Vida as a co-working wellness space. Some of those big obstacles were, even though I thought it was a really great idea, no one, really understood what I was talking about. They would understand sort of the concept, but they'd never seen a hybrid model that had taken a wellness center and put that with a co-working space. So there were funding challenges. So when I put it up in front of investors or business competitions that we were trying out for, they asked, well, where are the numbers? Like, how do you know there's a need? At that time, co-working, there were about 108 co-working spaces in the world.
Wow.
And there were none in Austin yet, and we opened in July of 2008, and then our friends Conjunctured opened that same month. We didn't even know about each other until we were both opening spaces on the east side. And so that was really interesting that I had this passion, and I was really, just totally convinced that this is what was needed for my industry, for the health and wellness entrepreneurs, women entrepreneurs, to be able to work with wellness in co-working, but people just didn't understand. It was a new vocabulary, new model, so I faced that obstacle of people not understanding that full concept, so then they weren't really willing to put money behind it. So everything I did, was seeded with, self-funded and some angel investors from friends and family. But it was just like, okay, we're passionate. We believe that this can make a difference, and let's do it. But definitely that's hard on passion when you kind of go to get your dream out there. And people don't maybe just believe in it as much as you, or they're just skeptical of what it is and how it's going to make a difference.
So it sounds like about 10 years in the space, or 8 or so?
Yeah, it'll be 9 this summer.
So how many of the ideas you had back then have come to fruition?
Wow. Actually, a lot of them. Probably all of them have come to fruition, although I still want to see more expansion on all the different programs. But we originally started off with wanting on-site wellness, yoga, co-working space, private space, event rentals, and on-site childcare. Now the childcare only lasted the first year. We couldn't afford it. We had a small space where that was too big of a space to give to that resource because we weren't getting the parents actually signing up to use the co-working, the children's space. So we ended up having to let that go, and that was a big piece. So I'm actually always hoping that I can bring that back in. But the childcare co-working is something that you're seeing more and more. There are other spaces that are trying it, but I think that all of them are challenged by just you have to find a really great space, and you have to have separation between the work and the children, but enough integration so the parents feel really comfortable about where their kids are and the kids are having fun. So it has its own obstacles, and so I'm kind of just, had to bookmark that one to see if we can ever come back to it.
Sure.
But the full vision of the wellness in the co-working has really come to pass.
Right, and that's what I like about your place is everywhere else I've been in Austin, it's more just about the work, and you're really trying to create the balance of work, play, yoga, because it's really important. I mean, we work late a lot of times, and if you have those things available, you don't have to go seek them. They're here for you.
Right, exactly. Yeah. And that is a big piece of the passion. The commitment that I had was trying to figure out how do all these entrepreneurs who are so it was moms, a lot of mom entrepreneurs that I was working with, juggling family and juggling, just the intensity of starting a business and the long hours. And many of them were leaving corporate culture and saying, I'm going to find freedom, I'm going to spend more time with my kids, I'm going to do all those things. And then they were feeling really limited, and they were kind of surprised. And I, said, well, why are we surprised? Because the system hasn't changed. Like our structures aren't different. So even though we're leaving that, what do we have as an option? So I guess I saw Soma Vida as a potential prototype for like, how could a structure look different? How could a business look different? And it's definitely been an experiment. I mean, and that's part of the entrepreneur that I am. I think a lot of entrepreneurs, we see something, a need and a gap, and we just get really excited about offer that. Can we offer a solution for that? Will it work? Like, let's throw that spaghetti on the wall and just see what sticks. And I realized, that's why I am an entrepreneur, because that stimulates, it excites me to take something that doesn't exist and I think is a societal solution, something that's really important for us, and can we make it happen? And the obstacles, going back to that question too, is that anything new and different can sometimes take much more time to execute. But I think that health and wellness, like my main interest, or mental health for entrepreneurs in a place that's has a wellness environment.
Right.
So that's much more part of their workday. It's not something they have to go across town and go to the yoga studio 30-minute commute. They actually can do it all within one space.
Yeah, I've actually had the pleasure of being here for the past 4 months, so I can attest to the fact that, hey, when I'm finished working, I can jump in a yoga class, get a massage from somebody, and just the activities around here every week, it's just amazing, all the things you can do with the culture and being able to kind of zone out of my work. And more than just massage and yoga in a typical place, you've got some people that will help do energy work, and there's a chiropractor that comes in and out. So it's kind of like one-stop shop.
I used my design, also interest, like interior design, and my knowledge of psychological principles of design and how to calm people. So people walk into Soma Vida and they often comment, like, it feels so good in here. And that's very intentional. We've curated. And that's an invaluable amenity. And I think a lot of co-working spaces have so many intangible amenities that is kind of hard to talk about, like the community. And ours is this wellness culture is more than just the services and the yoga classes. It's everything that we do, the eco cleaning service that we use, that's cleaning and the allergens in the air, and the aromatherapy that we use. Yeah, so you've been in purified air and filtered water and organic teas and coffees, and eco paint that we use. Recycled materials, like everything that we chose for the space was specifically to encourage and provide more of a wellness environment.
Yeah. I mean, it really feels like a home away from home.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah, because we've been to a couple other co-working spaces this week, and it just was a little too industrial. And so you're like, well, gosh, I might as well just be in a regular office space. But you come here, a lot of small guys are used to being at home. They like it. They want those comforts. So I think that's great. You had those comforts.
Thank you. Yeah.
So let's jump into testimonials and some user stories. Since you've been here so long, I think it's important to kind of describe, hey, what's kind of happened over 7 years? What are some success stories and things that inspire you?
Yeah, definitely. They're, well, in a way, and I think a lot of co-working spaces are similar, we're a bit of an incubator. So some of our success stories are actually how people have started and launched here and then gone on to create their own space. I think that's really exciting. Wow. Some people come in needing that launch space. Some people really want to stay here with us as long as their business is operating. But one of the, like an example of a success was an esthetician that came in when we were still over at our other location on Rosewood. And she just needed to really save money and start getting ready for her own studio space. So by being able to rent a really affordable private space and have access to a professional reception, she had everything she needed to have a really nice, spa type environment for her skincare clients. And then she did several different promotions, and she just raised all this money while she was in this space, and then had that nest egg to go and get her own commercial lease, and then had her own skincare studio that she opened up. And that was just really exciting to see how Soma Vida was a part of that.
Yeah.
That by starting small, but yet she didn't have to compromise. She didn't have to start small in some little grungy place where it was like no reception. And, she had this very professional space. Her clients felt great. They could come in, but then she was keeping her overhead low enough so that she could move on to that next level.
You've got a lot of stories like that. Right?
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
great.
I think in the wellness industry, that's also, I guess with any like startups and launches, but with the wellness industry, they often, have a dream of a wellness center they want to create.
Yeah.
I have people that come here that just kind of want to learn, be here because they have a dream of going and creating a retreat space or a wellness space, and being a part of this community allows them even to learn more of what it even feels like.
Right. I think that's important. I'm of the philosophy that the earth is getting more energetic, more positive, and things like that. Yeah. So I think that's a great stepping stone.
Yeah.
Stepping stone. Yeah. So tell us about the surroundings of this location.
Yeah, we are so fortunate to be in East Austin on both. When we first opened, we were over on Rosewood, which was still East Side, and now we're Cesar Chavez. And I love just East Austin. I live in East Austin as well, so that helps with my commute. I can keep everything within 15 minutes. But the whole Cesar Chavez neighborhood has grown even since we've been here a year and a half. And we're seeing more restaurants, and there's a couple more co-working spaces, and there's just a nice, also like a pedestrian feel that's over here on the east side. There's been more focus from the city on bike racks and bike lanes, and I love that, just walking down to Juice Land and our neighbors, the Corner Vet. Like, we have just really great local business. We're surrounded by local businesses.
Right.
So instead of being surrounded by huge corporate, entities and stuff, it's like we work together. So there's a big Yule Bazaar that's happening this weekend that we're hosting, and then the Blue Owl Brewery is going to come in and offer some of their beverages at the bazaar, and we've had Corner Vet donate for our silent auction in the past, so it's fun how we all work together.
Yeah, it's a nice little spot without feeling too downtownish.
Exactly, but close enough to be there if we need to.
So tell us kind of the capacity of this place in terms of private offices and in terms of the co-working.
Yeah, so there are about 20 private offices. Let's see, 2 of those remain open for hourly space. There's a conference room, 3 studios. One is a very large 700 square foot space studio, which is more common for trainings, workshops. We do have individuals that will come out of state that will need that larger space, and our members that are doing series and workshops. And then we have this smaller studio that's more like one-on-one private yoga therapists and such. So those 3 studios plus the private offices, and then 700, really 900 square feet of open co-working space allows a diversity in a variety which people can run their businesses, and that was really important to me.
There's some nice artwork too.
Thank you.
Very nice
yes,
artwork.
We have artwork from Gina Marino right now. I will say she's a wonderful artist, so we really love that. And we can we participate in East Austin studio tours, and we've rotated local artists, so that's a commitment to the beauty of the space, to keep it inspiring with local art.
Good. Okay, so tell us kind of from a user standpoint what you hear is, hey, what do they rave about, and hey, what are some challenges that you need to work on?
Yeah, I think that the biggest rave is the feel. People constantly, and I love that, and because it's something that is hard you can't buy that. I can't just call Amazon Prime up and figure out how I'm going to get a feel. They love the feel of it, and I think that it's some of the things we've already touched on. It's all of the different intentional pieces that we've put into the design, but it's the people. We attract a certain amount of energy. People come here are really invested in growing their consciousness and their business and making an impact for their clients in the community. So I feel like that is one of the biggest things that I can't even take full credit. I've created sort of the container for it, and then it's been a result of our community and all of the synergy that people bring. So that's a big one, just the feeling. It feels good in here. I don't know why, I just feel good. So love that. And then just the uniqueness. I mean, we still get calls from around the world, from other countries, other states. People are looking at our model, trying to understand how we've created the hybrid wellness and co-working. So I think that that's something that is, in the 8 years I've been doing business, I've received more inquiries in the last few years about that than ever.
Wow.
So I think it's a good sign that we're all looking to integrate more wellness into our regular lives.
Yeah,
so
that's great.
And then to be improved, I think that I've talked to many co-working space owners about just more community engagement. So as much as there's amazing things happening, we still have to kind of pull people out of their offices.
Yeah, we've actually talked about that.
Yes,
yeah.
I'm like, okay, is it bagels? Is it, pizza? Like, what do we have to do? And of course, with the wellness space, I've done like the smoothies and the kombucha, but I think that's just your membership is always growing, and it's up and down. So it's not always the same people. And you have to keep that in mind, that you have to cultivate that constantly. It's not something you do once and you let it happen. So I'm still working on programming ideas and just getting people to come out. We have a lot of introverts. Also, wellness practitioners tend to be very highly sensitive, empathic people, which sometimes lend more to the introverted scale. So that's also just keeping that in mind and be like, okay, so my introverted networking events look like what? How do we make that more comfortable?
They come out a lot during your monthly
like the coffee chats.
Yeah, your coffee chat, So I think that really helps. So
yeah, and that's like us all being really authentic, and they like that. Like, let's be real about business and cut the BS and talk about what's really what's hard about it and what we love about it.
Exactly. All right, so you talked about a couple things about the kids, having a place for them. What other future plans you want to describe?
Yeah. I think, yes, I always have that in mind of how I can expand and have more space for the children, more integration for families. I also am thinking about ways that I could help people open their own spaces similar to Soma Vida. I've never really been interested in a franchise model because I have ideas about that being too rigid, like people having to take my thing and create. I want them to create their thing, but with like a Soma Vida plan, like if I can figure out a way to make it easier for people to replicate something like this, but still add their own brand and their own identity, or I don't know, I'm still sorting that out, but I love that. And so something I've been doing also is just getting more involved with other co-working spaces, especially women-owned spaces and ones that have wellness, and I'm trying to build more community with those individuals. So I have the global co-working directory for women-owned spaces, and people can find that on Soma Vida's website. And if you're traveling, that's a great place to go and check. Those are all women-owned
Some
spaces.
more resources to that.
So the future for me is getting more connected to those women and traveling more. I'd love to go and visit those spaces and just talk more about.
Yeah, some of the other ones have a global network and a forum.
Yeah.
And it sounds like you might be going down that path eventually.
Yeah, exactly. And I have participated in all of that since the beginning, the co-working conferences, and I'm a part of all those groups. But I've kind of I'm hyper niching my group a little bit more into women in wellness, for my own support.
That's great. In terms of co-working, some places when they rent out their space, the coworkers need to leave. How does that work here? Where would they go? And
Yeah, we have that policy. What's kind of always been a part of Soma Vida's policy, though, is because we're committed to work-life balance, our co-working hours typically are from 9 a.m. to 5, 6. We kind of have that loose edge, but that we want people to have a great work day And then by the time that evening hits, we would encourage them to actually participate in certain events that are happening, drop downstairs for yoga, go to series and classes. So to kind of we don't do the 24/7 model. So it's sort of this idea where co-working happens 9 to 5, and that way those co-working spaces are available for event rentals and bigger types of company parties or things like that, which has worked out pretty well. Sometimes we do have a situation where there will be a request for like the co-working space. Maybe a company wants to come and do a training. So we'll ask all of our coworkers to go into a different place, but we usually don't ever close it. We're just like, okay, now you get to go and co-work in the yoga studio, and we put down all the yoga
Which we've
mats.
done.
Yes.
It's a nice change of atmosphere.
Yeah. So it definitely is important to be flexible, but we always try to find ways to accommodate members in different ways if we have to have the bigger space events.
Well, great. Well, this has been a great interview, and I don't know if you have any closing remarks.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun to be able. I'm grateful that you've asked these questions and just the site and bringing more attention to co-working. I think in closing, I just really feel that being a part of the co-working movement since 2008, I've seen a lot of change. And I think that it's important to keep to the movement. And the movement is about creating shared space for people to come together and do amazing things from this synergy of collaboration. So at the heart of co-working is always going to be openness and collaboration and flexibility. And I want to stay true to that. So that's always going to be my mission, is like to carry the flag. You know, that activist in me is like, we're doing this to create a different way of working. So it's not just a business model for me and for many of the co-working spaces. This is like a heart labor of love. Like, this is something we all believe in. We think that it's a different way of working that benefits the collective and is a societal shift and a paradigm shift. And so I just am so grateful for all the co-working space owners and managers and enthusiasts and supporters like yourself, because it's much bigger than some people may realize. It's a whole shift in how we are being with each other, and more than ever in this current political climate, we need that. We need to know that we have each other's back.
Yes.
Yeah.
I agree. Well, I think that's very well said, and the passion like comes out when you speak, so I appreciate that. And I always want to attest to the fact that being here for 4 months has been a real joy, and being able to get out of my head as a tech person with the different events and the great people. It's been a chance to grow. While focused on growing our business, but balanced when we get too focused on our business. And when you have that kind of almost like a support group here, it really makes a difference. But at the same time, during the day, you get a chance to really work and keep your head down without too many disturbances. So
Great. Yeah. Thank you, Sean.
Thank you.